know about this, because I copied this off the wall of the building. This building contains chemicals, including tobacco smoke, known to the state of California to cause cancer. Is that a necessity to clean the body? Is that not evident? Do you think how hard it is to get building owners to put up notice of saying their building is carcinogenic? Consequently, everyone here should be using the cleanse. That's the first thing. First, cleanse the body. Because you can't put stuff in on top of it if it's not clean. Second, you have to use the right protein because you have to maintain your muscle. Now, why maintain the muscle? You saw the bodies that were on the stage just before. I want everyone here to make a commitment to themselves. Say, I am going to transform my body. I'm going to make my body like that. And then you can. You can. You can do it. I know, because when I was 65, I had a very bad accident on my horse. I was lying in a hospital bed. I could not even turn over. I was smashed pretty bad. My hip, my shoulder, and I thought I would not recover. I made my will. I made out my will, and I thought I was going to die. And I recovered, and I went back to work. I went back to the gym, and I did it all again. And I thought, this is impossible. You're nearly 70 years old, and now I'm 72. And I'm in great shape. You can do it. Everybody can make a commitment here to bring their body to shape. And it's very important, not just so that you can stand up on stage and look muscly. Do you know that your muscles provide half the pumping power for your blood? Half the pumping power to get the oxygen and nutrients to your brain. And if you don't get the oxygen and the nutrients to the brain, it will degenerate. You will get stupid. Mind you, you won't be too worried, really, about being stupid, because your muscles provide the glutamine to your immune system, without which it cannot make a single cell. So you'll not only be stupid, you'll be dead. So it's very important that you get the right protein. And in 1991, I wrote about this protein, this very protein from the same company. Before there was ever an Isagenix, I wrote a book called The Right Protein for Muscle and Strength in 1991. And then when I came to Isagenix, in May, I decided to study whether or not the system, the cleanse system and the protein worked. Because there are many, many systems out there. There are hundreds of systems. There are hundreds of people who've copied my system. And we were doing the best we could. I work now with athletes. I work with a lot of athletes. I was working with some triathletes, a group. I managed to persuade them by dint of thrashing them over the head to do the 30-day. Because they didn't want to lose muscle. They didn't want to reduce their food. They absolutely did not want to reduce their training. And then if their training was going to be reduced, they were not going to do it. Well, here are the examples up on the screen. We, in 30 days, and I joined this group myself because I wanted my own proof. I always like copying that notice off the building wall. I like to have proof, real solid stuff. So I did it on myself as well. And I started out at 8.9% body fat. And in 30 days, I went down to 5.3% body fat. I hadn't seen my abs so well for 25 years. And all of the triathletes lost body fat. Look, we lost an average of 4.9 pounds of body fat. Lost 3% of body fat. Do you think that their performance went down? No, their performance went up. It's like taking a couple of bricks off your back. And the third thing you have to do, the third thing after cleansing and protein, is adaptation. Adaptation. I copied another notice today. I had lunch in a restaurant. said chemicals known to the state of California to cause cancer, birth defects, other reproductive harm may be present in the food and beverages sold or served here. That's off the wall of the restaurant. So we know that you've got to have a buffer system. Our system was not evolved to stand that sort of pollution. We've got to have a buffer system. And the buffer system that's provided with Isagenix is the Isagenix Supreme. And before having that, I used to buy Chinese herbs at a Chinese medicine shop for my family so that we could have a buffer system. Several $100s a month. And I used to get my athletes to get them too. So I tried Isagenix Supreme. And I looked at the formula and I thought, this guy is a lot smarter than I thought. Now I've known John Anderson for a long time as a formulator, not as a friend, but it's a very smart formula. I don't buy any Chinese medicines anymore. My family and I and my athletes are all on Isagenix Supreme. And the fourth thing about this system, and it is a system, remember you can't do it with one thing. The fourth thing about this system is the essential nutrients, the ageless essentials, the ageless essentials. The USDA figures that came out last year, 2010, they measure the amount of nutrients in the human body, which I like, because you can measure things in food, but you don't know whether people have had the food. So they go around the country and they measure the nutrients in people. 90% did not get the recommended dietary allowance of vitamin E. 90%. 73% of the people tested did not get the dietary allowance of zinc. 65% did not get the recommended dietary allowance of calcium. So, and we can go on and on through the figures because the food has been depleted. And I said in my last talk that we now have very synthetically fertilized food. And the synthetic fertilizer is made from fossil fuels. We're all eating coal. So you have to replace these with supplements, as I've studied and written about for more than 40 years. And I've been consulting to governments on this. For optimum health and longevity, you need to take the ageless essentials every single day. Who has taken their ageless essentials today? Yes! I'm serious. If you don't, you know while you're sitting here in these seats, you are going to lose more than 30 million blood cells. More than 30 million blood cells are going to die this afternoon while you're sitting here. Where do the new cells come from? They come from what you put in your body. And that happens every single day. If you don't put the stuff into your body every single day, then what are the new cells made of? They're made of inferior materials. It's like eating cardboard. You can't do it. That's why I joined Isagenix. It's the only company that I know that has the whole package, that understands that you've got to have a whole system. And now with the advent of genomic science around the turn of the century, with the advent of molecular science, the whole of science has done a turn to the side. Everything has changed because now we can get at the molecules. In 2003, we characterized the human genome. So now we can get right down to the nitty-gritty, the molecules that we need to study, the molecules that are in nature that we couldn't even look at before. We didn't know what they were. And Maria Vlasco is one of the telomere experts in the world, one of the foremost telomere experts in the world. Now, I heard Dennis say yesterday that Maria Vlasco's lab is going to measure the telomere length in the study from Isagenix. Her lab. Well, on June the 22nd, she was appointed as the head of the Spanish Cancer Institute. She's brilliant. But I want to, but this is a paper that she published in 2010. And I want to quote directly. First of all, I say, our cells are built from stem cells. Something has got to get those stem cells to ignite, to work, to grow. Here is a direct quote from Maria Blasco. It has become evident that telomeres and telomerase are main components of stem cell ignition, providing ways to both restrain cancer and delay aging. That's directly from her paper. And John Anderson's genius, in partnership with Bill Andrews, is an example of the shining new molecular science that's putting Isagenix ahead of the field in anti-aging technology. And I want to be part of that. And there's so much more to come. There's so much more. I want to show you something, just a little bit, about the brain. I want to save your brain. Essentially, I want to save your brain. Let's compare new brain and old brain. This is a young brain. You can see the head. This is, if I take a slide and I cut it right down through the center of my head. Look at the old brain. Three things have happened. First, there's a loss of an area. You can see some holes have appeared in the hippocampus, which is absolutely essential for memory. Second, there are loss of these axons. You can see that the ventricle in the middle is much bigger because the brain's intercommunication network has declined. And third, look at the top of the brain where the sulci and the gyri, the ridges and the valleys, store most of your memories. You can see what happened to the brain. It does not have to happen. It doesn't have to happen. Unfortunately, that's not all that happens. Unfortunately, you have certain areas of the brain, the black body. The black body is critical. The black body is right there. The black body is called the substantia nigra, contains most of our dopamine-producing neurons. We're on the track and we're fairly close to the meat of nutrients that will increase dopamine, nutrients that will preserve those neurons. And then there's an area called the hippocampus. The hippocampus in the brain is like double seahorses. That's what hippocampus means in Greek. There it is, the hippocampus. When that declines, you get Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's. Most of you here have heard or have association with somebody who has declined into Alzheimer's. There is no cure. There is no cure. But you can prevent it. It doesn't have to happen because science now knows how to stimulate neurogenesis. Remember that word, neurogenesis. And it hasn't happened all at once. It hasn't suddenly somebody being super brilliant. I work with Jonas Salk at the Salk Institute. His genius rid the world, really, apart from very poor countries, of polio. And then I work with Linus Pauling. Linus Pauling was one of my sponsors to come to the United States. And he received his Nobel Prize in chemistry for work that he did on the hydrogen bond in the 1940s, which gave rise to Crick and Watson in 1953 working out the DNA double helix, which then, way in 2003, gave us the way to characterize the human genome. 1,200 scientists working worldwide, biggest scientific achievement in history. And knowing the human genome has given us all the molecular chemistry of today and massive advances in prevention of disease. This is a tremendous adventure. This is the biggest adventure of your life with Isagenix. Who wants to join me? Good. I want you to come with me on this amazing journey with Isagenix. I want to show you the power of the human genome, the power of 500 million years of evolution to create molecules so amazing. We're only now getting a glimpse of their majesty, their sheer, overwhelming beauty. And remember, all of it, everything, came from the chemistry of the earth and the plants that are in it. The plants that are now going into the Isagenix products. So get those products where they should be in your body every day. Are you with me? Yeah, no.